Hello and welcome to the second tutorial on Modalys, this neglected child of the IRCAM that we are trying to make great again. There is a discussion group actually, I see here. I have been in it a little bit. I never ever, in the last months at least, never got a reply to any of my... so it's pretty much dead. And there is no Facebook group. Maybe I should make one. I don't know. And as I already told you in the first tutorial, I've never been to any IRCAM course on Modalys, so I had to figure this shit out for myself, which was not always easy, believe me. So today we are going to bow a string. No extra introduction, I think, necessary. So let's get right to it. I'm going back to my wonderful Picasso sketch that you might remember from tutorial 1 and to further explain the principles. So if we bow a string in Modalys, we need what I showed last time in the objects. We need these bidirectional strings and bidirectional mass, because this can move in 2 dimensions. This as well, and for the bow connection we need that because the bow pushes down, but it's also moved horizontally, so it's moved like left and right, but it's also moved up and down when it's played by the bow, and so we need a little bit more access to it. These 2 dimensions are described as trans 0 and trans 1. So we just have to keep in mind very, very well what we consider of these both to be horizontal and what we consider to be vertical. Okay, so let's get started. First in Lisp again, then I'm going to do it in OpenMusic and later in Max. The header we do again as we had it. New, what I had last time, also to avoid any kind of issues in package mlis. Usually you don't need it, but as I told you last time, I have had some bad experiences when I didn't have it sometimes, for some reason, I don't know. So let's make the objects. Make the bow. So we can go back to our B2 mass and make our bow. So I'm gonna go set Q, my bow, this time is gonna be called, and make object B2 mass, and that's done. Okay. Next, I'm gonna make the string. So we go back here, and we know this still from the first tutorial, so set Q, my string, make object B string, and I'm gonna write out again the modes. 80. I'm going to go double again, but else I'm, for the start, again going to stay with the default attribute, default properties / parameters. Tension. I never know what to call these properties or parameters, because there are some properties in there. Density 1000. Radius 0.001, young 1e, so the elasticity. Then we have the frac loss 1, and last but not least the constant loss, so the damping 1. I can close this down. Good. I will set the pitch, so oops. Set pitch was the code here, set pitch, my string, and let's pick length this time because it works in max, unlike tension. And let's put it to 80 Hertz. Okay. So we have our bow and our string made. If we now go to the connections here, we will need a bow connection here. So as you can see, here we need 2 axes of the bow itself. Then we need 2 axes of the string itself, vertical and horizontally each time. So we need to control, we will control it with a speed controller, the horizontal movement, and the up and down, like the pressure on the string, we're going to control with the normal position connection that we used last time. Okay, so let's make the axes. Make axes. So just we need to keep in mind what is what. Let's decide now. So last time trans 0 was up and down. So let's put it in as a comment. Vertical is trans 0 and horizontal is trans 1. So just to not forget it, because this, we always have to keep that in mind, else no sound or something very, very disappointing. Let's start. So set Q my bow horizontal. And also keep in mind, we need 4 axes for the bow. If you remember the first tutorial, we had 1 axis on the bow to hit or to touch the string, basically to pluck it, and we had 1 axis on the bow to control the movement of the bow. So here, because we have 2 dimensions, we need 4 axes. We need 2 which are touching the string and 2 which we are controlling. I'm gonna shorten this name. So set Q my bow A. Let's keep this in order. Bow V touching will be make axis. So just for you to see that I'm just stupidly copying things. Here as so here my ax make axis on my bow. If you remember, 0 was the large mass and 1 was the small mass, so the touching should be 1 const 1, and we are going to have this as vertical trans 0. Oops. Length. Oh, I made a typo. So here it is. Length. Z. Length. Okay. So now, and of course I need a value. Now it works. Let's continue. Set Q my bow H touching. Make axis on my bow constant 1, and this is now going to be trans 1. So these are the 2 the 2 axes on the bow which are going to be touching the string. Now we are going to make the 2 which we are moving. So set Q my bow V moving, make axis my bow constant 1, trans 0, and not constant 1, constant 0. I'm such an idiot. Okay. Set Q, my bow H touching, make axis my bow, const 0, trans 1. So our 4 axes for the bow are done. Now we need 3 for the string, or we can make 4, but minimal we make 3. So axes for bow, make, oops, make axes for string. So to start, we set Q my string bowed. So that's where it gets bowed. We can again make the same assumption as in tutorial 1, where it was approximately 0.7 that the string gets touched. So make axis my string constant 0.7 trans, oops, here, trans 0. And we set Q my string. Oh, I should write this in every time. String V bowed, string H bowed. So we don't lose touch of what goes in which direction. Make access my string. We're gonna pick the same point, 0.7, because that makes sense, and trans 1. Okay. These are where the 2 axes where the string is bowed. One goes down, so it's, and one goes horizontal. I'm repeating myself, I know, but in my experience, repetition is key. So forgive me. Let's continue. The further axis we need to listen to. And this is an important point, actually. My string, if you think of that the string is being pushed down and then bowed, the vibration of the string does not mainly go up and down, because the up and down movement of the string is very just, that's not a vibration, that's not an oscillation. It's left and right, it's horizontal. So we need to make the axis horizontal. So if we make the axis, my string, H listener, I shouldn't have to write this H, but I'm writing it anyway for you guys. I hope it makes sense, because that's the dimension in which the string swings. My string constant, let's say 0.2, like in the first tutorial, and now trans 1. It has to be horizontal, else we're not gonna get some nice sound. And because we're in a good mood and stereo is nice, we can make a second listener. Come on, set Q, my string H listener. So I'm gonna call this 1 and 2. Oops. And then make access my string const, let's say 0.4. Why not? And still trans 1. Okay, so we have the axes done, and now we can combine all of it together in one. And for that, we need the bow connection. So let's go here in the documentation to see what what they want. Connections, bow connection. Okay, here we are. Make bow connection. So I'm gonna call it, we'll just make it directly, make connection bow. So here it needs the vertical axis and then the horizontal axis of the object used as a bow. Because in Modalys, you can try this out once you are more in the groove of it, you can bow anything with anything, any object with any object. I'm just, for now, in the first tutorials doing the traditional thing, but the most fun about Modalys is basically that you can do all these things which are impossible in the real world. So you can basically, for all I care, bow a huge gong with a giant diamond plate. So we need the bow axis vertical and then the bow axis horizontal. So my bow V touching and my bow H touching. Then the initial position, it's not a controller here, numerical value, not a controller. So I'm going to put this as 0.1. And so that's where the bow is at the beginning in relationship to the rest. And then we have the two other points. Let's make this a little bit larger. So my string V bowed and my string H bowed. And this is at 0. Initial vertical position. Of the plucked objects, well, that's a typo. Somebody did something I avoid here for some reason to copy paste. So, okay. And last we have a 4D controller. This simulates basically the rosin of a bow. You know, this black stone that some string players use to rub the hairs of their bow? That's rosin and it makes the bow more sticky. And so you can simulate that effect with a 4-dimensional controller. You can read up what these 4 things actually mean. You can start with the standard values and then work your way slowly away to the sound that you like. So I'm going to put here constant 2, 10, 5, 4 and close it up. So that's our bow connection. And now we want to move our bow. Move the bow. So we need 2 movements. We need once the horizontal movement and the vertical movement. And because I want to keep everything in order, so it's understandable, we are gonna start with a vertical movement, which is basically a position. Make position connection, we're gonna use that again today. So make connection position. What we are gonna move for that is the my bow V moving. My bow V moving. Oops, V moving. And we're gonna need an envelope again for that. So the controller we're gonna use is here, the envelope. There. Okay. So we are making a controller envelope, again with 1 dimension, so XY, simple. I'm gonna use the shortcut version to write it again. So at 0 times 0, we're gonna start at 0.1. Then at, let's say, 0.3. Should we make it soft? Yeah, 0.3. We are gonna be at minus 0.001, let's say. So slight touching of the string and bowing. We want to bow for a little while, so let's say for a second or so. So 1.3 is still at minus 0.001, and last at 1.8 we are back to 0.1. So we basically push the string down 1 millimeter here. So I'm going to close this up. This is the horizontal, the vertical movement. Vertical. Okay. And now horizontal. Horizontal, we are going to use the speed connection, because the bow can have also a certain speed. So let's try this out. We make a connection, speed. The axis reference will then be the bow touching horizontal. So, no, moving, I mean, oops. Oh. Typo there. So my bow H moving, and the speed controller. So I'm gonna again do that with the envelope. Envelope 1. So at time 0, we have around almost 2 seconds. So around 0, it's going to be at speed 1. And then it's at time 0.9, it's going to be at speed 4. And at point 1.8, it's going to be back to speed 1. There we go. It's meters per second. So 4 meters per second. That's pretty fast, actually. Let's see how it sounds. So we are going to make the outputs. Output. So to go back here to the point output, we can add some things, because we said we have 2 listeners. Come on, let's make it stereo. So when we make, I'm gonna make the point output of the my string H listener 1. And channel, I'm going to put 1. And make point output my string H listener 2. And on channel 2. Then we just need to run it. So synthesize. So we need a run for how many seconds? Let's say 4 seconds to be sure. And then we need to play back. Okay. That's our code. Let's see how that sounds. Oh, nice. I don't know if that, because in the first tutorial, it oversteered to the normalization. We can scalar value or controller to scale the amplitude. I'm going to try that just to be sure, to 0.7, 0.7. Let's see if that works. It doesn't seem to do anything. If I do 0.1, still completely normal. Do I need to put it as a constant? Constant 0.5. Const 0.5. No, it doesn't change anything. So if anybody's out there who knows the solution to this, please enlighten me. So I'm still sorry for the eventual overdrive. Okay, let's save it again as a 02 bode string.lisp. Save. Okay, the stereo actually only matters if you do it at home, because I think on my video everything is mono, but let's agree that this sound is a little bit boring. It's this normal string sound. And now we get to the fun part of it. So let's change a little bit the properties. Let's go to some of the material properties that we can have. So what would be a cool thing to have as a string? Spider silk. Why not spider silk? Okay, let's try spider silk. Spiderman is out there to get you. So maybe it's gonna sound like shit as well, you know, you never know. So 2, 9. We could, I like to put the damping down, maybe put it at 0.4. The frequency loss, have a little bit more high frequencies. We can see about that. Maybe back to the tension. If Spiderman hangs down, it's all about tension and not about the length. Let's put this, I mean, when he swings through, it's like 100 meters or something up to the tower. Let's see how that sounds. If it's still thin. Ooh. Let's put this longer. Let's put this 3 seconds and slowly move it a little bit deeper, and at 4.8 be away again. 9. Let's do it here. 3.3 would be still, yeah, maybe let's get just slow a little bit, and then at 5 seconds be back at 1. There. And now we have to synthesize a little bit longer, so 8 seconds. Oh, that had something. Okay, so you can see we can have fun still. So let's do this part in OpenMusic. Let's build it up again. So new patch. I'll call it 02 bode string. You can load the library again here, or if you load this patch, you can it will ask you automatically if you want to open the library, and if you click yes, it will. As I explained last time, you can just find in the libraries folder here all the objects and do it with right click, or you can just do like me and just type it in. Anyway, we again need a Modalys B2 mass, and we need a Modalys B string. We are gonna write in here that this is 2.0e1, that the is 0.4, then the thickness we let it be, density 1300, then that tension is 100, the length is 100 meters. And the modes are 80. Here the tension is our tuning parameter, and which we saw that that's not going to work in max. It brings out a bug. So in max we're going to do length again, I guess, to not mess with the consistency of our spider silk. Fundamental frequency is 80. Okay. So this is done. Now we need all the axes again. So Modalys axis. We need 4 for the bow. So the 2 that we are moving. Let's make a little bit of space here. There. Then we need 2 that are touching the string. On the string we need 2 that are being touched or bowed. And then we need the 2 other ones which are going to be our outputs for stereo. Okay, so we can connect this here, this here, this here, this here. So not gonna re-explain. I strongly suggest to not directly always jump to OpenMusic if it's not clear for you what these axes really do. My way that I was most successful with figuring shit out here in Modalys was to first go in Lisp and do it there, and then transfer it to OpenMusic and then to Max. As I wrote here, we need to really keep in mind what axis is vertical and what axis is horizontal. So we are going to have the bow moving, here the bow moving, so this is twice at 0 here, and 1 is vertical, so trans 0, 1 is horizontal, so trans 1. This is the one that's touching, so 1, oops, yeah, and here 1, and again the vertical one is trans 0, the horizontal one is trans 1. Same thing for the string, just other numbers. So the bowed ones is 0.7, and here, oops, 0.7. Did it do it here? Yeah. And again, see trans 0 and trans 1, and again here trans 0, trans 1, and the values here were 1 was, no, stop. And here, be careful, it's both times trans 1, because the string only swings and vibrates horizontally, because that's how we bow. It doesn't go up and down and vibrate vertically. So both of these have to be trans 1. One we put at 0.2, and the other one we did put at 0.4. Oops, 0.4. There. Okay, now let's combine all these together. We make the bow connection as we have it here. So Modalys bow. There. So we need here, if we go over, we need the bow vertical. Here we go. Then the bow horizontal. The initial position is 0.1. Then the string vertical, and the bow, the string horizontal, sorry. And finally here the reason we can put in 2, 10, 5, 4. In an example I saw, they used this function. I couldn't find how to type it in the library here. They used this to have it as a constant, I guess. So in an example that I saw, it was here. These are 2, 10, 5, 4 to make it completely same. You can. It seems to work for me also without. Maybe it saves some processing power. I'm not sure, but not too much, I think, in today's age. Okay, now we are gonna move these two axes. So one, we are gonna do the vertical one with a position. So mless position connection. So the axis which is being moved is this one. And we again need a mless envelope, which we're going to attach here. That's our controller. And as an OpenMusic object, a breakpoint function where we are going to type in what is going on. We connect it here so that it gets rightly interpreted. So here it has to, here it has to be 0, 0.3, 3.3, and 4.8. That's the numbers I wrote in here. And on the y-axis, we need 0.1 minus 0.001 minus 0.002 and 0.1. Close the bracket. We need the decimal precision of, let's say, 3. Yeah, 3. 1, 2, 3 behind the comma. And so now we have this controller. That's good. Okay, now we want to move here. So let's use the, as we did here, this speed connection. So we need the axis here. We again need an envelope, which is going in here. And we again need a breakpoint function, but the values are going to be different. So I'm going to put in here 0, 0.9, 3.3, 5. So that's what I had here, right? And the y values were 1, 4, 3, 1. So here we go. That's our pressure, our speed on the string. So here we go. Now we need just the point outputs. So mless point output. We need 2 of those. 1 and 2. We can make the channel be 1. And here the channel be, channel be 2. I suspect here that it should work for some reason. The controller. So let's put in 0.6 and here 0.6. So to make it softer and to not have any kind of overdrive this time. Last but not least, as yesterday, we need the synthesize object where I don't, no, not this kind, the mless one. A synthesize object where I still don't know what the first 2 things are supposed to do. With Alt and right cursor, we make new inputs for the synthesis. We need the mless new at the beginning and the mless run at the end. And in between, in any order you like, all this jazz. So this controller, there, this one, or connection rather, let's keep it correct. the bow connection, the two outputs, 1 and 2, and finally the run, and it should run for 8 seconds. We need the OpenMusic object sound. I wonder, track number, track index for multi-channel mixing 0, no specific track. Yeah, mark list of markers. I don't know what's gonna do. Let's just do it. Evaluate. There we go. Oh, okay. So it thinks it's a 0 index. So, but it did the, as far as I know, it's not oversteering. So 0 should be channel 1, I guess. And 1 should be channel 2. Let's see if I'm right. Yes. It still seems to automize. Let's test. Let's be radical. 0.1, 0.1. Yeah, it's still not. It's not doing it. I don't know why. Maybe somebody can enlighten me on this. Anyway, that's for the OpenMusic part, how to bow a Spiderman silk. Iron Man came and took his huge bow out and bowed Spider-Man's silk string of 100 meters. Okay, so let's move over to Max and try it there. That's gonna be scary, because Max, as we have discovered, works a little bit different. But we won't have the overdrive problem because Max doesn't automize the synthesis. So in Max, we're gonna make a new patch and try to build this. Okay, so the challenge in Max is that we don't have special axis objects. We need to basically, the connections between the objects are the axes, so we need to find ways to specify that. So we still always, for the Modalys objects, need the load bank to load the script of the instruments we are creating, and of course at the end we need this script to put into the mother object of all in Modalys. So let's say it has one input, but it has two outputs if we want it stereo. As I told you in tutorial 1, we have this very, very important CTRL list message to that object, which can spit out all the controllers that we might be able to get. So let's see what we have. We have an mlis bow connection. I'm gonna call it bowcon. Add name bowcon. You can also write in the rosin 2.10.5.4. And the bow connection has two axes. It's combining with two axes, so we need two inputs and two outputs. Next we're going to make the bow, mlis beats to mass. At name is going to be my bow. And here to be super sure, we can type in, and I don't exactly remember where I found this, in one of the examples maybe, the attribute of access in type. And that's trans 0 for vertical and trans 1 for horizontal. Yeah, it doesn't complain. That's good. I didn't forget. And the same out. So at axis out type is trans 0 and trans 1. Okay. The B2 mass needs 2 axes and 2 out, right? So here this is going to be connected to this right here. Next, we're going to make the string. Modalys b string and name my string at, and I'm going to do the same thing here just to be super sure. Says in type trans 0 trans 1 at axis out type trans 0 trans 1. And here we can also define where it gets accessed, because at axis in initial position is 0.7, 0.7, and at axis out initial position it's 0.2, 0.4. And stop for a second here, I did a mistake. Both output types are trans 1, because as I explained before, the first part, and I'm explaining it for the, I think, 100th time now, but sorry if it bothers you, it's horizontal swing, right? That's how the string swings. So if we put it at trans 0, that's not going to help. We're not going to hear much. So we need also here 2 inputs, because it's 2 axes. And we are going to make 2 outputs. So Modalys point output at name out1 at channel. We can put in 1. And out 2 at channel 2. This gets connected to the script. To be able to move and to control, here we are going to need an Modalys position at name bow pause, and we need to define the beginning distance to the bow itself, to the string itself. So I'm gonna put it at position 0.1. I found that in the example in the, I think, in the B strip help patch, or whatever comes up as a help patch. Okay, although they do the bowing with only position and not with speed, which makes in Max could make more sense, but I'm basically trying to rebuild exactly what we have so that we try different things out. Modalys.speed at bow speed, not at bow speed, at name bow speed. That's it here. We don't need to connect this to anything, and also not this. This will all get into the script. So let's see if it gets some there. But before we do that, final thing, we should put in all the other attributes. So attribute modes, 80, length, 100, tension 100, density 1300, at radius 0.001, at young to E9, the frec loss 1 at const loss 0.4. And keep in mind in Max you can control most of these parameters from outside. As we unfortunately found out yesterday, if I put in as a pitch parameter tension, it's gonna bug, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna put in length, it bugs me now, and maybe I'm gonna rise the tension. Well, why not 1000 tension? Let's see what it does. And let's say the pitch parameter length and pitch 80. But usually you control it also from outside, just to have it pretty much equal to here. Okay, we now need a live gain here, and we need an easy DAC there. And now we are going to build these envelopes to control from the outside. So as a message, if I load this patch and I click control, I can see all that I can control. So what I need to control is one, the bow pause at position. You can see it here, there, $1. And I need to control the speed. So bow speed at speed. So message bow speed at speed $1. See? Okay. Now let's make the line 0 point, just to have it equal. Again, very similar to yesterday. You can also control all this with signals. I don't know if it makes a difference. I wasn't able to really hear one, but I guess usually it's supposed to be cleaner, right? But I'm not sure. To send in something with signal rate. I've used it as a plate reverb made in Modalys. We can do that in one of the following tutorials. So here the value goes from 0.1 to minus 0.001 in 300 milliseconds. Then it goes to minus 0.002 in further 3000 milliseconds or 3 seconds. And then it goes back to 0.1 in, let's say, 1500 milliseconds. That's this envelope. And for the speed, it goes from 1 to 4 in 900 milliseconds. Then it goes to 3 in further, let's just put 2.4 to 2400 milliseconds, and then I'm lazy now, 2000 milliseconds back to 3, and then back to 1 in also 1 second or something. Okay. No time for math now. We're gonna just put a button so we can trigger those two simultaneously. And now comes the moment of truth. So bang the script. Oh, the bell, okay. Ah, nice. So here's our spider silk bow. You can mess around with that to control it in real time and to do all that jazz that you like. And I hope you enjoyed this second tutorial. Of course, it's a little bit longer because the string is a string that gets bowed this time and not just plucked. And see you on the next one.